Look around. Nobody wants to cook anymore. They want convenience. I won.
Hey, cooking mamas! I have that part. Check it out.
I'm going to punch you in the face.
Watch out!
Oh no. The ones who gave us life are gone.
Do you not care? Do you even have a job right now?
All right, let's get started. Just making sure we can. Audio is good.
Sounds like audio is good.
Awesome. And we're live. Just gonna let people know. Hi, everybody. Big day, big day. Yeah, we're feeling pretty good. I want to kind of go over the game a little bit first, assuming we're sounding okay. I got all my settings set up. Sweet, thanks. Yeah, so Dosa Divas came out today. It's on everything. Well, everything as in PC consoles, from Steam, Switch 2, PlayStation 5, and Xbox. It's built in Unity. So it's a game about, cooking themed game about these two sisters, Sam and Imani, and their spirit-mech goddess. And this is sort of how you run around the world with the mech. And of course, you can pet the dog. This is a later part of the game, but this is one of the villages that you visit. Thanks for all. And we're gonna honk to get some orders. Let me turn up the volume a little bit on this. People are hungry. We're in a state where we're gonna probably make some food, get in little battles, just kind of show off the systems. The world's been overrun by your younger sister Lena, who runs a fast food empire, and you're bringing cooking back. These people are hungry for real food, so let's get some orders. You can honk near people, and you can see how little icons show up on sort of the outer parts of the screen for orders. And I can check my cooking orders. Let's see. One person wants a sour fish fight dosa. Another person wants a spicy fish fight dosa. So cooking in this game is picking up ingredients and making variations of. For this village, there's dosas. The mechs, yeah, the mech does do Naruto run. And some of the ingredients I don't have. And then we can see. We can take our orders. We need a sour special and a spicy. Let's see what he has. Okay, curry powder. And you can tell when the items you have for your order based on the check marks on the order page to the right here. And we need a sour special. What do we have? I need 2 onions for that. Okay, we'll come back to that. And some of the items are behind battles. Actually, let's go cook first. So anytime, once you have an order, you can hold down, I'm playing with the Xbox controller, so you can hold down left trigger, go into cooking mode, and let's do spicy fish fight dosa. We have 4 ingredients for that. All right, and sometimes if you've already cooked it before, since I'm later in the game, it'll fill it out, but we can remove the ingredients and then pick our own if we want. And in the bottom middle, you can see, or in the center, you can see the main ingredients of fish. So I have 1 fish there. Let's do that. And then it wants a flavor. So there's the main, the flavors, and specials. Sometimes it varies, but depends on the dish. Let's do something special. Do coconut, and then it wants a chili pepper. And we want something spicy. Thanks for joining us. I'm here with, I'm the game director, Eka, and I guess design and UI and trailers and things. And we have Justin here, who's our lead programmer, who really is, we can't really do anything without him. Makes tools, gameplay, fixes things, does all our ports, and really is the reason we're able to do any of this stuff is to build this game out. And we have Sunny, who does narrative with me, also does design work, did a lot of the cooking setups, production, game implementation. We're a small team. There's 14 of us at the height of the project, so we're all kind of do different roles. And Vijay, who sets the tone for the art. So the 2D art you see, the concept art, which we'll show off a little bit too. UI and icons, that's all him.
Hello.
Okay, so we're gonna get into it. Hello. Yeah, all the ports. That's Justin. And the cooking is a series of mini games. I think there's did we end up having 8 altogether or 9? I can't remember.
I can't remember right now, but including the hand wash step.
Yeah. And every time you cook a dish, we'll pick 2 of the mini games. Some dishes, like the first dish in the game, end up doing more steps, but usually it's 2. And then it picks randomly from those 2. All right, so we made a spicy fish fight dosa, and the stuff you cook, in this case, because I did pretty well on the mini games, I made 3 of them because I had 2 bonus items, and then so you can feed them to NPCs, but because the game is about cooking, exploration, and battles, you can use them in battles to restore HP, your health, and SP, which is our spirit power. And then also it has a boost for spirit attack, 106%. So we'll do that, and we can deliver to the hungry villager. It looks like I need one more a spicy ingredient. Is there anything on this map I can, oh yeah, cinnamon. So I can go battle down here. And that's protected by one of Lena's goons, so we'll go fight them. Get some cinnamon. And some of the goons here, the lawyers here, they're protecting some of the ingredients. I think this one has a cinnamon. And some enemies later in game will do multiple hits, and if you don't block, you're going to take some serious damage. So I'm trying to time my blocks here. So for attacking and blocking, you can just time it. So for blocking, you just hit the button right before enemy makes contact. So you want to look out for the animation work, which is done by Azo, our animation team of 1. He's in Japan right now, but he would normally hang out with us too. And then for attacking, we have this little star that shows up, which is the window for attack. And depending on the moves, the window will change. Okay, so it is a turn-based combat game with active elements. So in this case, we have this party of Goddess, Samara, and Amani, and depending on your experience with turn-based combat games, in our system, you can pick the turn order, any of the 3 characters that haven't gone yet. You can go first. So let's start with Goddess, and it's cooking themed, so the attacks and the enemy's weaknesses are all based on flavors. So let's say this particular enforcer has a salty weakness, so we don't know the other 2. And then senior partner lawyer has spicy and salty. And the number next to their, under their name is their shield. So if you can match the flavor, it'll lower the shield number. So this one has 18. I'm gonna go with Sam's. Actually, shouldn't have anything. Amani. Nope, we'll go with Sam's spicy wakarang. So as you see, every time I hit, and I'm timing it to bounce it back. And bring that shield down. Okay, we got 2 more. It does health damage too. The pink bar is their health damage. And then do I have a salty ability? I think. So we'll use Amani's base attack. Now, we also have these boost system, if you played Octopath, things like that, so we can boost a point. That's that little diamond above the word boost. So we're gonna hit for the boost. And if you boost a basic attack, you'll end up doing 2 hits, an extra hit. So we're gonna time a hit, but because we had a boost, we also get another one. So that particular enemy is in a stuff state because we broke their shields, and they take double damage. So with any of our characters, we could do more damage. It also looks like our ultimate, which is a group ability, is ready to go on the bottom left. So let's hit with a group attack, which will hit all the enemies at once. Okay. Their turn. I'm gonna block. A little too early on that block. Let's see if the enforcer has a weakness for savory. Does not, but I still do some damage. Let's hit this. Let's finish this one off with a face smasher. This is a hold down one. You hold down till the ball gets big enough. And
Hold it down too long.
oh yeah, I did. I did hold on too long. Let's try a.
Did you? I said you shouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, if you hold down too long, it'll scale back down. Okay, so we have cooking, we have exploration, we have the combat, and we should have picked up the ingredient we needed. Let's open that. Oh, did I go with the wrong one? I did.
What were you looking for?
Dang it. That's all right. We'll go deliver the other meal we already cooked. I only had one fish. Let me just go a little fishing too.
We had a bunch of the Siddish fish.
Oh, I did. Okay.
We had one red snapper and like 7 Siddish fish or something like that. Siddish fish.
Side dish.
I've always said Siddish.
Siddish.
I guess I do.
It's like it's Hassan who came up with the names. Who's our main writer on the game. I think he was definitely trying to make a pun with side dish. So.
Well, it used to be the side dish aisles.
Yeah.
Is Burok a pun on Brock?
Yes.
I assume so. One of the streamers earlier caught on to that.
Yeah.
What is canopy a pun on?
Canopy.
Canopy.
Like a tree canopy.
Yeah.
Because it used to be a giant tree.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like a food pun, so I was trying to think of something. Anyway.
Oh,
Alright.
well, not that I know of.
So that kid made her the meal she wanted, and we get a little bit of scrap, which is the way you can buy things, get more orders. Yeah, so that's just the game. I mean, I don't want to spoil any of the story parts of it, but it's about 12-15 hours. And this level, this is what it looks like. And it opens up as you go, and then as you get more tools in the game too. I think Goddess might have
You got the drill shot.
drill, yeah, and the drill shot. So you can take that down, but I can also open this up too. The dog can't follow me through that, but that would have been fun to do. Yeah, so each of our villages are, kind of think about the design of the game and the villages.
Alright.
We wanted to make sure the verticality was a big part of it. Speaking of which, probably a good time to kind of think about, show off some of the early work. Yeah, so this is pretty early on. The way we kind of do internal goals is like a monthly cadence. So we kind of think about what we want to do for this month and what we want to do for the next month. And we use Miro for our design work. And this is sort of just a summary of what we do, what we did for that month or what we're trying to do. And, when we're figuring out the look and feel of the game, it started out as a concept as 2 aunties in a mech. So Vijay, this is some of his early work. Was this the first thing, Vijay, right? This is the first.
Oh, that is one of the first things,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, I remember. It was, I don't know if we have it on this one, but like I remember this was sort of like the first.
Those are one of the first images,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of the first, trying to figure out sort of the look and feel. I might still have, I don't want to go into pitches yet, but yeah, we were looking at sort of different truck designs, and it might be in design work. All right, let's see. We do all our team's remote, so we do all our design work, collaboration on Miro. Yeah, there's some of our references. Yeah, we were looking at sort of like, what does a mech and the world look like? And we were looking at sort of these tuk-tuks from South Asia and Southeast Asia and these Pakistani truckers, and how they decorate their trucks when they're away from home. And different auntie inspirations, some look and feel stuff, food stuff, mech designs and characters. So we kind of start with, this is what we started with. It's like this basic idea, and the story's changed a lot. I think initially we had 3 sisters. Yeah, this is one of your early designs. We had this art. You're trying to figure out the look. The look also is determined by what you end up doing for a camera. Once we started, we knew we wanted to run around as a mech, which means the camera had to be pulled back. So if the camera's pulled back more, that means, we want to make sure the shapes read from a distance and the characters read from a distance. So
Yeah, and it also factors into how much detail goes into the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Detailed how, which kind of shapes we want the characters to have. If we can recognize the characters through the camera, the gameplay camera matters a lot in the kind of aesthetic we choose, I think, for the game.
Yeah. And initially we had the idea of two sisters that were separated from their third sister. And so it was initially a three-person mech. So we had this empty seat, and we had a cat.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the cat.
I think, we'll get into the cast later too. But I think I still have a space for Chutney in here somewhere. Or I did. And then once we kind of figure out the look of the mech, I think at the same time we knew, trying to figure out the look of the sisters too, but this is some of your initial work, taking some of that reference from the various trucks and tuk-tuks. So essentially the mech is a version of a three-wheel taxi, a smaller, cute mech design. I think we hadn't figured out the scale yet. They were much bigger when there was like a three-person.
Yeah, I think those were first week of iterations once we started talking about the game.
Mm-hmm.
So once we figured out relative scale of character to the mech, we realized our characters would have to be much bigger so we could see them moving in and about, and thereby, we moved to like a smaller mech design, larger characters, so on and so forth.
Yeah. And this was the iteration on it, figuring out the scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much of the world depends on sort of the scale of our main character, so getting that figured out was pretty important. And these are I love when you draw ideas of what are the things we're doing, maybe foraging, or they're just hanging out and showing what life would be like for the sisters.
Yeah, I think that image sort of helps us understand Goddess's personality. It's like Goddess can have a personality, and Goddess, they can emote and sort of be another character and not just a vessel for travel.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then as we were developing the story, I mean, these things happen in tandem, right? Like we're figuring out sort of the scale of the world, the characters, the story. Everything's kind of rough, but multiple people on the team are kind of going through development. Figuring out the cameras. We started with a lot of the tools and the approaches from Thirsty, and then expanded on those for the design. This is cool too. I love once we had this concept of these mechs being ancient and much older than the humans you see. So how do we show that across? And you had this concept of a spirit arm on Goddess, which she's fully customizable. Let me go back to the game and show some of that off too. Yeah, so that's her spirit arm. Her right arm is a spirit arm, which isn't custom, but like everything else is. And going back to our references from sort of South Asian trucks, you see, I like your stylization of it with sort of the decals on the windows and the front. And then the Horn OK Please has a whole history, and that's what used to be on the back of trucks in the 70s, 80s, 90s, where if they're taking up too much space on the road, the cars essentially can honk their horn so they can get around them. It's not so common anymore, I think. I mean, I don't know. Every time I go back to Sri Lanka, everyone's still honking their horns though, so I don't know. More honking there than there is in the U.S. or Canada, I think. So.
Hi guys.
Hi Ben.
Hey Ben, we're live.
We're live on YouTube.
Yeah.
I am not home.
Thanks for joining us. That's Ben, who did worked on Thirsty and Dosa on some effects, and also did some shaders on Dosa with us. So yeah, for customization, we have different wraps for Goddess. So and those you pick up as you sort of get through the game, and each of the villages has a sort of like a community building aspect or village status, and then as you kind of get through those, you unlock abilities and wraps for Goddess. And this is some of the wraps. And you can mix and match them too. So, you know, you can do the full wraps. You can just change out the top or just the arms. Or just the legs. These aren't all of them. I think on this save I only have a handful of them here, but I kind of like all of them together. So let me just jump to yeah, we'll do that one. So that's some of the customization, and let's go back to the Miro. Yeah, so from that, once we sort of figured out Goddess, at the same time we were talking about the sisters, and they went through a whole lot of iteration too. I think this was some of the initial. We had talked about sort of the personalities, I think, right. Vijay, like you and I were like talking about sort of contrasting the two sisters. And
I don't even
sorry.
sketches.
Yeah.
I don't even remember those sketches, but it's nice.
I think I had some initial thoughts where like we know they're going to be, one's going to be probably 30s or 40s. I think maybe we were thinking about 40s, 50s, but we ended up settling on 30s, mid 30s and mid 40s. Amani
that's
being the older.
That's right. And then we ended up doing sort of like a flashback version of each of Sam and Amani. I feel like initially we settled on hairstyles pretty fast. We were like, oh, one to be a large silhouette, another one to be small, and the colors sort of settled down quickly too. I think it was more of the costume, what they would wear, the colors, that we took some time to sort of iterate and sort of realize their personalities through that. And so we sort of, I think, took some tech aesthetics and sort of took some of the South Asian floral work and sort of like mixed both, but didn't make it super maximalist so that it felt like noise, so that people can still sort of gauge the design from a distance. And so to the top right of your screen is sort of what we landed on. As you can see, we're still iterating on hairstyles and like a little poncho, crop poncho kind of thing. But then what you see on the right of that image is the final costumes for Sam and Amani.
Yeah, and I liked, I think I loved the idea. I think you had her messy hair from the beginning, just to contrast her personality with Amani's.
Yeah.
And they're half sisters, so we also wanted to not make them like exactly the same looking or similar sort of personalities as well. And then I think my favorite part that people like also catch in on is their matching tattoos they have with Amani's neck tattoo, and Sam has one on her arm, right? On one of these.
Sam does have one on her arm, but
right
it
there. Yeah.
shows up. It shows up during her portrait animations, I think. When it shows up, yeah.
Yeah, because we knew the camera was going to be a little farther back in this game. I'm just going to jump between the game and concept art. Where are we? Yeah, we knew the camera was going to be a little farther back, so the characters are a little chunkier, and their faces, they aren't as detailed. They're meant to mostly read from a farther back camera. So for that, we end up doing the conversation and portraits in 2D, which we have a whole system we do that with. So this is, Sam and Amani and their various expressions depending on sort of the conversation they get into, which I can probably just hack open here.
And I think Hassan, our writer, does a great job of sort of using the correct expressions for the correct moments, which when you play the game, you will realize these characters come to life. And that's a lot of Eka and Hassan and Sunny, I'm sure.
Hey, Hassan.
And
I think he just joined us.
Hello.
Hi, Hassan.
Text goes here. Look at that, because I'm just debug opening stuff, so it's not gonna show the actual conversations. But let me open up an animator, and yeah, so we have various poses for them. Once I find the right, there we go. So we have our default expression, and then you can see our happy expression there. And this is all tied into the conversation system, which we use ink for. So if we go into one of the ink files, we'll have a line that Hassan writes. We'll have a speaker tag, and then VO, and then expression, depending on the character and the conversation. And that expression comes through here. So there's a sad one, there's angry, Sam, surprised, embarrassed. And we have a couple custom, depending on the character, but I don't think for her. And then when the dialogue plays, we time their lip flapping, which is like an open close, and that happens in each of the expressions too. There's a happy version of each of those, a sad version, angry, so on. So same for Amani.
There's a couple extra.
Yeah. And same for Goddess. Goddess is very expressive too. These spirit mechs, as there are multiple spirit mechs in the game that you'll meet, and there's a running theme of sort of family dynamics and sisterhood that run through the main sisters, and then also each of the divas as well. The divas in this case are the mechs in the game. I like how these turned out. I don't think we need anything custom there, but okay.
Custom for sleeping, but what the other custom ones are for any of them.
Going back to the characters, so yeah, once we have the main three sisters, the two sisters and Goddess figured out, then Kabi, I think came fairly after. We knew we wanted to have a traveling merchant, and we already knew who was going to play them. The cast, this is Ritesh, who, if we look at our cast for Dosa, almost everybody except for Ravi was also in Thirsty. We had a bigger cast on Thirsty, and what did we end up doing was Jala, Farah, who played Jala, plays Lena, the main baddie, and then Zara, who played Jala's sister, plays Sam, and then Christine, Jala's love interest, plays Amani, and Kabi, who was Sergio, the first ex you fight you meet up in Thirsty, became Kabi. And Anjali, who played Dia and several other characters, Aisha, and I think the crystals as well. We brought them back. David Cherry, who played one of the skaters, became Arno. Mira, who played the grandma, is Sam's mom, Rupa. And Mira and Ravi are married in real life, and they're both actors, and so we want to bring Ravi in. Like working with him, became Amani's dad. And we had him play several characters. And then they also voiced their corresponding divas, depending on who they were. So it's a smaller cast. We did partial VO in this game versus full VO, just because the time that it took to do all that, and Thirsty versus here. We're kind of exploring a lot more gameplay variation and a lot more running around between the levels, a lot more level design, and we just wanted to have the flexibility to be able to do a little more writing, and also not, once you sort of once you start recording, you're kind of locked in to what you can do. Which, Hassan, that was first time you worked with us on that project. How many weeks? It's like 4 or 5 weeks recording.
It's hard to say because it was spread out
Yeah.
over a lot of time. I think if we condensed it, it would probably be about that much, yeah.
Yeah. Connective tissue, yeah, between the games. Machan the dog is between it. Uncle Hinty makes an appearance.
You forgot to mention who voiced Uncle Hinty.
Oh, I mean, that's just my dumb voice. It's not much of a voice. It just says one
Your sick voice.
Yeah. Yeah, we gather a lot of reference for things, kind of thinking about sort of ideas and what we want things to look like. And, so the world, for the section of the world we were exploring, there was like these 3 main towns, and Lena's Tower, sort of once we figured out sort of the look, or the story and the flow, that's where we end up doing. And this is an early block out, just using simple shapes in Unity, which is how we end up doing a lot of the levels. Yeah, like this, where we're just taking boxes and capsules and laying it out. Am I showing the right screen? Oops, I'm not showing the right screen. My bad. I forgot to switch my source.
Oh.
On the stream. I'll wait to catch up. Yeah, so layouts are done with some basic build out stuff. For the other villages, the first village is usually how we also think about sort of the first playable, and our first demo ends up becoming the first part of the game. So figuring that out helps us figure out sort of production timeline, how long we want to spend, how big the levels are, and Vijay's initial sketches. I love these because we're trying to figure out sort of like, what does it feel like to run around in these levels. I'm trying to think if I have any. We probably have some. Oh, here we go. There's some like early. So initially we had, your mech was going to be at a camp, so you can run around as Sam or Amani. And I think this is the initial layout I tried. I'm trying to figure out the camera. You can see Jala in the background. And this is a model that Emma built based on Vijay's design. So that was like, okay, what does the scale look like? And it was a little tighter because we had Sam, but I think at some point we were like, we can just make it all 3 as the mech. And that determine sort of the camera size, because the mech is so much bigger. We wanted to make sure they read on screen. So from sort of concept goes to blocking. So this is Alicia, who's our level artist on the project. Took Vijay's props and designs. And I love these little vignettes you did for like the style for sections and some close-ups of props.
Yeah.
That's the second comment I've seen about organized. This is all Sunny. Sunny lays this stuff out. It's beautifully done.
Shout out to Sunny. And shout out to Alicia for interpreting the concepts so well.
Yeah, I remember we spent a lot of time on the trees trying to figure out the look of the trees.
Yeah, we did.
And then I'll take these pieces and I'll just slap them together as I do the initial level layout, trying to match some of the feel of Vijay's concepts, and then balancing that with sort of gameplay and camera needs too. And this is us kind of thinking about, we don't really do design docs. I mean, our design is essentially like a set of features that we kind of do it in Miro. We know we're going to have a jump and a double jump, and we had sort of ideas of bounce pads and teleporters, zip lines, and we're trying to figure out sort of what is the sort of the feel of moving around the world. And this is just progress from early concept to models, rough models from Emma. Emma did all our character models in the game. Let's see if this works. I think this is an animation test that Emma was doing to test out the skinning and movement. Yeah, rigging test. I am sharing the right screen. Okay. This was December 23. So after we shipped Thirsty. Still figuring out. We knew this Barath was going to be a fishing village. I don't think we had the name till Hassan came on board, but we called it a fishing village, and Vijay did a whole pass on sort of what they typically wear, and sort of their detail and clothing, and then Achi is a character we had early on. I think their story changed, but we knew she was going to be the village elder, and we had a flow. So for sort of how design works for us. And if y'all want to talk about something specific too, just chime in, please. I'm just jumping around. This is our design Miro board, and that was like trying to figure out sort of for Thirsty, we had this idea of a beat map where things were sort of how the story flows. And Dosa is similar but different. It is chapter based, but within each chapter, there's a lot more variability that happens. So this is sort of trying to think about the initial flow, the tutorial flow, and that went through a lot of changes. Tutorials are the hardest things in games because you're trying to teach a bunch of systems and try to make it interesting. So once we had sort of the layout, we laid out the design of like, okay, it's initially going to be really linear because we want to get you into cooking, get you into combat, get you into fishing, then you meet, and then the story progression things, and then battles, and how everything fits together, and then sort of the what happens in the village when it opens up. So these are some of the sort of ideas for each of the towns from early layouts. Yeah, these are rough layouts. Oh, that was a lot smaller back then. Yeah, I think in this case, I think I did a layout first, right, Vijay, and then you painted over it, or you drew over it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think you did a layout based on the size and scope of the town. And then I just and we took a bunch of references from California mansions to Middle Eastern Mediterranean vegetation and foliage, and he also sort of explored with this idea of doing one side being super rich and bougie and having the tower feel spoilers, have the tower feel super sort of not so bougie and not so rich, and basically it just came up with a few buildings. By this time, I feel like we were sort of well versed in understanding how to quickly concept to model to lay out a town.
Yeah.
So it's like 2 or 3 different building concepts, and just have Alicia sort of, and I think she did a great job, and just have her sort of just lay out the town based on a few of my concepts. And I think for this town, I didn't concept everything. I feel like she took some of my concepts and just understood them to make variations by herself, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll just jump in real quick into the town. So we have, a bunch of tools that Justin's built. One of them is our of course, our objective system, but we have our where is what am I looking for? A calendar. That's it. I'm going to bring that over here. So sort of the flow of the game happens in here visually, and we're going to just jump into, let's go into Split Town Chapter 6. I'm probably going to break a bunch of things here, but because the game is a whole lot of different Unity scenes strung together based on sort of our flow in design and narrative needs, we needed a way to, each of these nodes is like a series of levels, like separate, a main level and a sub level, or sometimes multiple levels for if we have sort of enemy battles, pickups, chapter specific gameplay needs. And you can see the progress of Vijay's sort of our initial rough layout to concept to blocking, and sitting with Hassan and Sunny and us going through sort of narrative needs, and then at the same time sort of the concepts for the buildings and the look is being developed, and Alicia, a level artist, is making the assets so we can essentially replace a lot of the temp stuff. But we do a lot of layout and camera work initially with temp things, and the camera system is also using a lot of Unity's Cinemachine, so it's like triggers and blends. So let me just jump. One of the great tools Justin's added for us is like
Alt-Shift-L.
Oh, was it? Oh yeah. Alt-Shift-L to teleport onto a specific place. And I don't have this unlocked, so I'm gonna jump again. And yeah, this tower was like sort of the old part of town, and then the more bougie resort part of town was down here, and so we want to kind of get that across with through the story and what characters want and what they were hungry for, and by the time you get here, since you've disturbed sort of Lena's I guess supply chain, they're running out of food here, and a little bit of spoilers here and there, but like it's we kind of design the levels and narrative beats and for things to all work together. So camera work, scale on things, and details all about really based on what we're trying to do. Make sure things read. So generally things have been pretty chunky for this game, I think, versus Thirsty, right?
Yeah, just having like a fantastical world with mechs and spirits and food and all the different types of towns, and sort of I felt like demanded a more stylized, exaggerated look than Thirsty Suitors did, which was less sort of semi-stylized.
Yeah. And then this is the world map come to life. As you go between the towns, this is sort of how we navigate. And they open up at different times and different needs depending on the story flow. And there's a whole lot of mech upgrades that happen for progression that allow you to go between things. And this was built by Emma based on a concept that Jay did. Azor was our animator, and then Hassan does all the writing, and Hassan, myself, and Sunny kind of work on the narrative team to figure out sort of the gameplay needs and things. And we have Sadie, who did a lot of the combat stuff with Anna, or one of our other programmers that was on the project, help with the combat system. And you know, it's a small team, so everyone's kind of taking different parts as needed. And then Ramsey, of course, who did the amazing music, and Amory, who does all our sound design work, which it shines really well in all aspects of gameplay, from picking up things to battling folks, and then the cooking systems and things. So yeah, let me go back here. I'll load the save game. Oh, and we have a bunch of debug things I'm going to turn off too here. Hassan, I'm trying to think when you first came onto the project. It was pretty early on. Like right when we start production, right?
Yeah, you were some time into production. I remember the layout of the first village was done, and I think you had just started like putting together the tutorial or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we were trying to figure out sort of the rest of the story. We had some rough ideas. I'm not even sure if we knew what towns we were building at the time.
Hey, Mama,
Exactly.
what's cooking?
Yeah, and between each town, you have these major upgrades like a drill and hook shot and other things that you get, and then upgrades for battles. Really upgrades for the 3 different systems in the game, from exploration to battles, and ingredients and cooking. But everything starts kind of rough idea and I don't want to say generic, but like we start, yeah, kind of rough, and then we know we want to go very specific, and then sort of through development we try to make sure the systems all work together and the stories are working together, and you know, we'll do a lot of temp writing and temp dialogue to kind of build the, it's almost like, I guess we have the ingredients, rough ingredients, and we're building you know, making a meal and kind of putting it together, but we don't know how far we're gonna try to push, and I think figuring out the first village, the demo area, like this area, was helpful to figure out sort of the tone, the balance of how many ingredients and how many battles and how big of a space to explore. What are other ways when you come back to visit, how it opens up. All that's just figured out through just time. That's why games take a while. Everything takes time. Yeah, so this is a little bit into the development of it. Is there anything else we want to cover? This is the first time we've done anything like this, so if there's any questions, let us know.
Ooh, a fun one to cover if we're talking about Justin being the backbone of society is test run.
Oh yeah. Can I even run test run from here?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you can.
From the.
What's the best? What do you think the best way to do that?
Probably go back to the title screen and do test run dosa _main.
Okay. Oops. Should I do the... Which one?
Test run dosa _main.
Test run dosa... Where the heck is it? Oh, dosa _main.
Just hit start on it.
So test run is a tool Justin made because it's a pretty big game for a small team. So I'm not playing right now. It's running by itself at twice the speed. This is a way for us to essentially smoke test the game so that we can see if, as we make changes to the flow, are things loading? Can you do cooking? Does it work? And this is a tool Justin made that we can also give to our QA team. Did it break?
Might have, because you were already running, it might have some bad save data. But
okay.
The original purpose, I originally wrote this tool for Thirsty because there was a heap corruption bug in Unity that I was having trouble figuring out the cause of, because something at the beginning of the game would make it crash 3 hours of gameplay later.
That's wild.
And narrowing that down was difficult because it was a Unity engine bug with reflection probes.
Mm-hmm. And then that can be run on Switch or Switch 2 or any of the consoles as a way for our QA teams to run it as an external tool too.
Mm-hmm. And that was sort of built on the back of another tool that lets you kind of look at the game state remotely on these other platforms. Be able to do things like edit shaders without having to make new builds and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So shaders is another platform-specific thing that can have annoying bugs that are time-consuming to fix because you can't see because they look different in the editor sometimes.
Yeah, games are much harder than any feature you add. You just expect there's going to be tons of bugs. So it's always hard trying to balance of adding features and then enough time to test and polish those features. And we're still trying to find that balance, but Justin's tools that lets us run through things quickly or test stuff quickly helps a lot.
Try to fix something and see if it works in a minute instead of a half an hour.
Right. And that's how again, the more features you have, the longer it takes to get it to a good place. Because initially, everything takes time. Every feature you add is multiple, at least 2 or 3 or more iterations before it's good enough to ship. Every feature that seems like it's simple, it's a lot of work to get to good place, and I'm amazed any game ship, and we're happy to be able to ship this with the team we have. I'm running through credits because it's like, I wanted to mention, other folks on the team, including Wadey, who did all our effects. And then we have our external partners we bring in for QA, and then we have folks that help with PR marketing, like Pop Agenda, and then we have all the folks that are up on the platforms, and of course our cast, who did a great job with each of the characters.
Yeah, another thing that was really useful for QA was all these tools are kind of built on the same backbone. One of the things that it can do is back up every save that the game makes, so that QA can just attach saves to bugs, and we can look at the saves, and those saves can all be reapplied to the different consoles or the editor. That was super helpful.
Yeah, and then this project wouldn't have been possible without our folks at Outer Sloth, Forrest and Victoria, who, when they started their fund, we were in contact with them, and they were able to fund their project, which lets us pay everybody and have enough. It takes time to make games. So very thankful to Outer Sloth for their support. Yeah, that's really it. So thanks for joining us, and we wanted to kind of just show a little bit off the game, and it's out now. Please, if you play it, give us a review, and or if you want to check it out, it's, again, I think it's like anywhere from 10 to 15 hours, depending on how much you want to play, and it's on sale for the next 2 weeks, $17.99 USD. And that's Dosa Divas. Thanks for joining us. I think we'll stop it there. Thank you.